What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's Seven Figures Club podcast. Today's topic, my friends, is why are you okay with losing? And why is so much of society okay with losing? We're going to talk about a few things that have to do with this topic, including when I was young, how much I hated losing, and I'd sit and I'd cry, throw a big ball baby fit. We want to talk about as we grow older, society, our parents, teachers tell us we should all be okay with losing. It's just all part of life. Don't worry. Just go ahead and lose. And lastly, as an adult, and especially if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you've got to change this mindset. So let's get going.
There are over 32 million businesses in the U.S., and over 90% of them will never break seven figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that seven figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-seven figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go.
All right, you guys, hope you're having an outstanding 2021. It is now already June. We're almost halfway through 2021. And so hopefully, as you look back to the goals and the things that you set out to accomplish at the beginning of 2021, you're taking the action, you're going through, obviously, we're going to be talking about why you should never be okay with losing, but you have to be okay certainly with learning from failures and mini failures, and that's all part of the process. These are lessons that we learn along the path to prosperity and growth as entrepreneurs. So hopefully you are going down that path and making progress. And today I really want to talk to you about not being okay with losing. Recently I was at my son Marcus, who's my 12-year-old. We were at his soccer tournament, and his team lost a game by a couple goals. So no, actually they didn't even lose. I think they tied. They actually tied their 2 tournament games. So they didn't actually lose, but because they didn't win, they didn't actually get enough points to go to the semifinals of that tournament. And so this kid loves to win. He hates losing. He's very competitive. And one thing that you'll notice as an entrepreneur, as somebody in business, is people who are competitive tend to succeed at a much higher rate because they are competitive. They love competition, and they love the fact that competition brings out the best in us. And that's probably another topic we'll have to talk about for another day, the importance of competition and how that brings out the best in us and drives us forward to success. But today I really wanted to talk to you about why is so much of society okay with losing? Because when I was a kid, like on Sundays, my family, we'd get together. I'm the oldest of 9 kids. And when I was young, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, we would have a family game of maybe hide and go seek or whatever it was, wiffle ball. And legitimately, like if I didn't win every single one of those games, I would throw a massive fit. And when I was young, I would cry, I would pout, I'd be a big baby, honestly. But there's something to be said about the importance and the focus and the drive to win and to hate losing. And the sad thing that's happened over the last, few decades, now I'm 41 years old as an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, is what used to be that, hey, competition, and especially we see this in athletics and sports and in youth, like when in the let's say call it the 80s, the 90s, like this was competition, and you didn't get a trophy for participating. They didn't just hand that stuff out. And it seemed like it started maybe somewhere in the 2000s. And as I'm starting to raise my first kids and remember coaching flag football for a number of years, and in this flag football league, like there would be no winners and no losers, which I found to just be asinine. Like, why in the world are we teaching our kids that, we don't really keep score, kids? Now, in my mind, we were keeping score. We were winning every game, and that was the focus. And that's what I taught those kids from a young age, and a lot of them became, very successful in a lot of different aspects. And I think there is something to be said about that competition, that keeping score, because guess what, guys? When you grow up, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're in business, people keep score. And so you've got to be able to understand that. And in the 2000s, this new participation trophy world where we're raising a bunch of snowball kids to think that it's okay, we don't keep score, everybody wins, everybody gets a participation trophy. And in reality, life is never going to be that way. If you go out and you participate and you work semi-hard, are you going to get paid more? No, you're not. And that's what's wrong with a lot of society. And so as you grow older, let you remember back to your childhood. And some of you I know are younger, maybe in your 20s, some of you maybe even still in your teens listening to this podcast. But you'll notice as you age, as you go through the progression of, going from childhood to adolescence and so forth, society, teachers, adults, they all want us to just be so okay with losing, with competing and not getting a W, and just putting a smile on your face and make sure you congratulate the other team, and you better be a good sport. And the fact of the matter is, people with that type of mindset and ideology, they don't see that type of success. And that's why 80-90% of people never achieve their dream life. They never build an income that actually produces the type of life that they want to go out and achieve their dreams. And to me, it's a massive tragedy. And if you think back to it, how many of your teachers tried to instill in you this mindset of accepting the loss and, don't worry, it's okay. And even I think back to some of the coaches that I had, there was always a moral victory. And certainly there's a lot to be said for going through that process and learning and making improvements. And there can be some sort of moral victory. But at the end of the day, if you don't win, you've got to take the steps the next week in practice, in your preparation, so that you do win. And that's what's so great about sports and what it teaches you when you're young, how to win and how to make these losses and these mini failures stepping stones and lessons learned. But if you don't actually learn from those losses and learn from those failures, you're never going to actually make progress. And then the next time around, become better. And that's the whole thing. And it's done by measuring the results. And so I think back again, even when I was in grade school, every little league, and this is in Little Beaver, Utah, where 3,000 people reside, and going through athletics there, there was scorekeeping. There was scorekeeping in Little League. There was scorekeeping in the little basketball league. When we were out at recess and we were playing dodgeball or football, we always kept score. And nowadays, this just seems to be frowned upon. Don't keep score. Everybody gets that participation trophy, and it's a losing mindset. And the thing that really concerns me is, as a society in this country, as we move forward, you look at countries out there, and China's coming for us. China is coming for us. They're going to be the number one economy, so say every economic expert, in the next 5 to 10 years. And I wonder, is this ideology that we're teaching the youth and kids in college, that you don't need to worry about winning and everybody wins and everybody gets that participation trophy, is that mindset leading us to a nation where our ideology and the way we look at competition is going to make us drop us from the top nation in the world to the second or the third greatest nation in terms of economies, in terms of mindset, in terms of our military strength? That's a real concern that a lot of people are not taking into account, and it needs to be changed. So at the end of the day, one of my values is to control what you can control. So let's talk about what you and I can do to control our results and to control the life we want to build and everything that we want to accomplish. And so as I look at what it takes to do that, you have to change the mindset. You have to be okay with competing. You have to compete every day. That's why, as an entrepreneur, if you have one salesperson, it's incredibly important to get a second salesperson, because competition brings out the best in all of us. And I think about and I watch, as our company has really grown over the past 6 months here in 2021, as we brought on more salespeople, as we've brought on additional talent to our funding company, we're starting to see amazing results. And a big part of that is when all of a sudden someone comes in and they're competing in the same job with you, and all of a sudden they have these great results this week. Well, now it drives you the next week. And I've seen this in our sales team and our staff, that we brought in some amazing people who have just taken things to another level, and it's driven everybody. It's raised the bar. And when you set standards and you raise bars and you define numbers and you define winning and losing and you talk frankly about it, my partner Ty will do this in a sales meeting. I think about last week, we're sitting in a sales meeting and he's looking at, there's 2 sales teams, and one of our sales teams had amazing numbers. They actually literally almost doubled the other sales team's numbers. And he looked the other sales team in the eye and said, hey guys, this is not acceptable. You guys can do so much better. And then this last week, both teams did remarkably well. And that is the power of competition. That's the power of defining wins and losses. And oftentimes, at least a couple times during the week, I will walk around to our team and I'll say, guys, are we winning? Are we winning? If we're not winning, what are we going to do right now to change it? What are we going to do today to start winning? How are we going to define those wins and losses? If you don't define winning in your organization, then you're not going to grow. And if you're not growing in your organization, you're going to be flatlining. And if you're flatlining, eventually that will lead to death. You have to constantly be growing. Now, at times, you might make investments into software and other things that might temporarily delay growth and cause you to be break even for a few months. But you have to be measuring the results and the success. You have to be creating competition, and you have to hate losing. You have to hate losing. And everybody, most of the mentors and successful entrepreneurs that I've learned from, each one of them has this drive, this competition. How can we be number one in our space? How can we solve the problem that we solve better than everybody else in our space? And that, my friends, is a huge focus if you want to succeed in entrepreneurship. So not going to be a long episode today, guys, but again, the main points are this. When you were young and you hated losing, there was something positive and important about that. You need to go back to that mindset. I'm not saying you want to be like me and throw a ball, baby fit, and cry, but you have to hate losing, and you have to learn from it, and you have to take the failures as the lessons and then pivot and make changes to make progress. You have to encourage competition among yourself. You have to define those wins and losses, do all that, and create the winning mindset, and now you have the chance for greatness and success.
Are you looking for more 7-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out 7figures.com. That's the digit 7, Figures.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.